I'm Darrell Watkins, and let's queer up faith. New PRRI data reveals strong Black Protestant support for LGBTQ+ protections. Research from the Public Religion Research Institute, PRRI, reveals a decisive majority of Black Protestant clergy and congregants support broad LGBTQ+ non-discrimination protections in housing, employment, and public accommodations. Despite common political stereotypes depicting Black churches as socially conservative, PRRI's American Values Atlas shows that over 70% of Black Protestants favor policies protecting queer individuals from systemic discrimination. The study emphasizes a growing generational divide among faith leaders. While older clergy often hold more traditional theological views regarding marriage, younger ministers increasingly draw parallels between historic Black civil rights advocacy and modern fight for LGBTQ+ equality. For LGBTQ+ viewers, these findings challenge outdated narratives around religious communities. The data demonstrates that faith spaces are actively evolving, with Black religious institutions serving as key battlegrounds and allies in the broader movement for civil rights protections. This actually doesn't surprise me. In seminary, hundreds of years ago, we had people from every denomination, including historically Black denominations, AME, National Baptist, Church of God in Christ, all that. And so we're sitting there learning the same things. Like, you're not just being, taught in whatever your tradition is, like in Sunday school. No, we're all together. We have professors from all kinds of traditions and backgrounds. We have to negotiate with each other, to live together. And so we all emerged broader than we went in, and that's one of the reasons for seminary. So that is the case doesn't surprise me. And more people are choosing theological education. In the old days, especially more evangelical churches, and especially because of class, not just everybody can pack up and go to seminary. Graduate school is expensive, but more and more churches have required it, including the AME church. There was always an alternative route, a course of study, they would call it. But so with requiring the education and then being around all kinds of people and all kinds of backgrounds, it's like when you know a gay person, you invariably will become less homophobic. So, and also in the AIDS crisis, the Balm and Gilead was an organization that was trying to get historically Black churches to talk about AIDS, and they did a lot of good work. And I think that may have actually did some of the groundwork, laid the groundwork for future progressive conversations. So I'm not only glad about it, it's been an evolution, but it's been evolving for a while. And so I think it's probably just going to get better and better.
I found it extremely hopeful, because I remember when we started the Smart Right, one of our biggest challenges was to get into the communities of color, especially when we got up into the Orlando area, which tends to be much more conservative. And we could get people of color on PrEP, but they wouldn't take it because of the stigma of the church and stigma of families, and that someone might think that they're already HIV positive if they take PrEP, or that they already have AIDS if they're taking PrEP. So people would be able to be given the medications, but then they wouldn't take it out of fear of community backlash and friends backlash and families finding something out that they're gay. And it actually worked. It was our biggest challenge up in that Orlando area because of the conservative Black churches. Mm-hmm. So this is encouraging to see that dialogue has opened up more in the general population, as hopefully as well as it slowly happened in Orlando.
I think the church is absolutely crucial and essential to the African American community. I know that the African American community helped build this country. They were central with civil rights, human rights, rights for immigrants, which is why families like mine were able to come here and thrive. And we cannot have progress in this country without the African American community leading change, without leading some sort of progress, especially as vital as the church is in that community. The conversations have to happen, and they are happening. Mm-hmm. And as you mentioned, HIV/AIDS, when I worked in that field for years, the Black church was a huge part of those conversations. And I think so much progress needs to still happen, but I do like where we are, and reports like this give me hope, and I cannot wait to see what further conversations happen, because in the church, gays have always been there. You can't deny it.
If you had music, you had gays.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah. And there's also, grief. I mean, how many people have been lost to HIV/AIDS? And so, I remember Sylvester. I loved me some Sylvester when I was younger, and he was one of the first people to come out about his dying process, and he was doing it to save lives. And so, people who've lost, there's that. People who can compare struggles, there's that. Education, there's that. But also, I think the queer community has stepped up a bit with educating about our history, because we do have a very rich history. And so like I was fully grown before I knew about Bayard Rustin, that he was a gay man, a socialist, a Quaker, he was actually the organizing person behind the March on Washington. He was disrespected and disregarded even within the movement for being gay because he was out. And then way later, and he even posthumously started getting his props. He's got a seat named for him at Sunshine Cathedral. But but we're telling those stories now. And I think that may also be helping. That queer history is Black history, and Black history is American history, and American history is world history. And, that there's just nothing, we're just all together. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.